This is a $50 MacBook Air. Yes, it does look like it's worn out, and yes, it does feel very old. But for $50, did I really get the value that I really paid for? What I did was I started browsing on Yahoo Auctions and many other sites. Eventually, I stumbled upon this post, which was the MacBook for $60.
Yes.
So I eventually talked to the guy and we got it down to $50. Inside the package, we got a late 2010 13-inch MacBook Air with a MagSafe charger which, let's be honest, it kinda looks okay. The MacBook itself, the condition was used but not abused, and some parts were replaced, which was fine, until we decided to get to the software side. Installing was... yeah. Trying to install 3 modern operating systems was hard, with Windows having some driver issues. Linux, on the other hand, did actually work for some distros. Other distros wouldn't work, but I stuck to Zorin OS at the end. Mac OS, while I could just run High Sierra, I decided to see if I could run OpenCore Legacy Patcher or DOS2's Patcher, and eventually got to install Big Sur. But it was too slow, and it just became unusable, so I decided to just use macOS Lion, for a good reason. But I'll get back to that. After troubleshooting this problem for a week, I eventually got the 2 operating systems installed, but now we have that, how much is $50 gonna get you in the MacBook space? Despite the limited specs of only 2GB of RAM and an old Core 2 Duo, but has great I/O, this MacBook was still quite usable. I was even able to open Firefox and browse the old internet using this operating system, eventually getting to YouTube, although moving to Zorin OS helped this even more. Although stuttery at times, 1080p playback is actually possible with this laptop, and the speaker quality is also good, but you'll take my word later on in the video. Now let's move on to some games. Terraria was okay at the start, it took a long time to play, but then it was just too slow to actually handle anything. But again, $50 doesn't get you that far in gaming. Moving on to Minecraft, it was actually a nice experience to play on, despite its limited specs and the older version I was using, which was 1.12.2. Although 30 FPS isn't something to be proud of, at least this laptop can handle some games. Holocure, on the other hand, was very slow. In fact, it didn't render at some point. Eventually, I did get into the game, but it was just slow to play on. But the real reason I bought this MacBook was for ripping CDs and having a jukebox all on its own. I wanted something as well to sync towards my iPods, and honestly, this MacBook fit most of that criteria, albeit needing an external CD drive. The MacBook itself was actually quite fine with its performance, although getting hotter than usual and the fan running a lot, but it was fine, and the speakers are quite decent for an old laptop. Aside from media playback, the system also works well as a word processing unit, where I was able to open LibreOffice and get some Word documents and PowerPoints finished. Honestly, this MacBook, despite its limitations, seems to actually function very well. And for the price I got it, I'm not too disappointed. Yes, the MacBook was $50 and this was definitely a steal, but some of you might say that, hey, you could have walked away with a different MacBook. Maybe a 2008 white MacBook or a MacBook Pro from 2010 and above. But let me be honest, despite the condition that this laptop is in, as well as the minor mishaps that I had, I think this MacBook was worth it. The MacBook software was really fun to mess around with, and this laptop would still make for a great portable use case for a while. And even though I just did use it for a jukebox and an iPod syncing center, This MacBook really is a good MacBook, despite it only just being $50 and nearly a decade old. I'm proud to say that this MacBook Air for $50 was worth it.